Hey, welcome. Thanks for joining us here on AM980 The Mission, the Twin Cities Christian Voice. I'm Lee Michaels, the operations manager here, and another great day. You know, we've got lots of stuff going on at the Minnesota State Fair, and every day we've got great sponsors that help make these fair broadcasts and everything that's happening out here at the Great Minnesota Get-Together a possibility. And today is no exception, because with me is Dave Proff. He is the manager of the Columbia Heights store for Chet Shoes. Dave, great to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
So, you know, everybody wears shoes almost every day. And having a proper shoe and a good fitting shoe is key. So why is that so important?
Well, you spend all day of your waking lives at work in those shoes, and those shoes make a difference in not only how your feet feel, but your back. It helps shock absorption as far as your whole body. Every step you take is a little mini explosion, especially if you work on concrete, which most of our customers do.
Yeah, so if you're working in the trade industry or something where you're on your feet all the time, a good, comfortable shoe or work boot is key.
Right, it's a great value for what you spend your money on. It's a mere fraction of your expenses. We figure that most of our customers spend between 50 and 75 cents a day for comfortable shoes, and that's if you buy a good pair, because if you don't buy a good pair, you're going to spend a lot more per day on shoes. So ours cost more at the point of sale, but they're much cheaper when you get done wearing them out.
Right, because A, they're going to last longer.
Correct.
They're going to be more comfortable, supportive, and have that durability that's going to wear up or stand up to that wear.
Exactly, and they fit better, at least our shoes do. And we have experienced people that make sure that happens. If you're not comfortable in shoes, we make sure that we correct it. And we don't want anyone unhappy that leaves Chet Shoe Store.
Well, it's a great point. I remember growing up, whenever you went to get shoes, you always got fitted and you found the right pair of shoes. Nowadays, I can't, most people walk into a big box store, wherever they happen to go to get shoes, probably don't take the time to get fitted. And that's one of the things you do at Chet Shoes.
Yeah, if you let us, we'll measure both feet, and we'll discuss what kind of job you do and what your shoe needs are, and what problems you may have right now with your shoes you've been wearing, and so you don't do that again. So if you give us a little information and let us help you, we really would like to help you.
And that's what you're going to get at Chet Shoes. You're going to get great customer service, which is something, and I think back in my, past shoe buying experience, whether it was a pair of boots for working in the yard or doing things like that, or just shoes around the office or to exercise or train in, having a good fitting pair of shoes is key.
Yeah, if it doesn't fit, you won't be happy with your shoes. And so we just make sure that we ask several questions, and we give you time to walk around in them, and we give you 30 days to wear them to let us correct it. And sometimes we even go beyond that if that's what it takes. But we want you to be happy, and we want to make a customer. We just don't want to throw shoes on your feet.
And get you out there.
Yeah.
You're going to have a customer for life. I know I've got one of our guys here that works at the radio station, loves Chet Shoes, and that's where he gets all his shoes. Goes in, gets fitted, and loves to do that, and they last forever.
Well, working for Chet, I have for 40 years,
Wow.
and I can tell you that Chet makes it easy on the employees, because all you have to do is make them happy.
Yeah.
And if they're that, you did your job if they're that way, and if they're not, then you didn't do it. So that's great working for a guy that all he wants is a happy customer.
And to have an employee that's been there as long as you have
Right.
is a testament to the company and what you're doing and the satisfaction you're giving your clients.
Yeah, he's treated me great all these years, and all the guys feel the same way.
Well, that's fantastic. Again, you can visit Chet Shoes. You're in Columbia Heights. What's the best way for people to find a location near them?
You can check out chetshoes.com.
Easiest way to do it?
That'd be the easiest way. Or you can call us on our phone at 763-253-1079.
Easy to do. Chetshoes.com, 763-253-1079. Don't need to make an appointment. They can just come in and find a pair of shoes that fits.
Good hours. We're open 9 to 8 Monday through Friday, and 9 to 5 on Saturday.
What are some of the brands or popular brands of work boots or shoes that you do carry?
Our most popular brands are Timberland and Keen.
Yep.
Those are, and they have a wide variety of of shoes for working, and we also have hiking boots by Keen. We also have sandals by Keen, and we have Timberland casual shoes as well. We also have New Balance, which we have a couple of different walking shoes by New Balance. We just about any company that you want shoes from, we either can get them for you because we guarantee the fit, and we also will order anything that you want if we have an account with them. So we probably have 15 different companies we can order shoes through.
Well, that's fantastic.
And then that way you can get measured and fitted. And if the shoe shows up and you're not happy with the color of the box, you can pick something else. But that's what it's like working for Chets. They just want to make you happy.
It's all about the customer service, and I know probably most of us haven't experienced that when buying shoes. And I think most people don't take the time to think about the impact that a good fitting pair of shoes can have day to day.
Well, I've impacted a lot of people with our good quality shoes. And that's what's fun about the job. A guy will come in limping, not feeling right, and you put the right shoe on them and they feel 10 years younger sometimes. Yeah. So, that's kind of a fun thing.
Especially if people who are on their feet all day and probably never thought about it. So if you are having foot issues or back issues, or just you feel kind of run down at the end of the day, a new pair of shoes, a good pair of shoes, can probably make a difference.
Take advantage of our experienced staff, and they will help you. That's what it's all about.
Yeah,
want comfortable customers, and then you see them again, which is the goal.
Do you have a lot of repeat customers?
Oh yeah,
sure?
We wouldn't be in business without repeat customers.
Yeah. Do you find guys that may be working on a construction crew or a company gets a pair and they start talking about it, next thing you know, you're taking care of all the guys on the crew?
That's your best advertising. Sorry, but it is.
I believe it. This is word of mouth.
Word of mouth advertising. Satisfied customers, satisfied brothers, sisters. They'll tell you where to go for shoes, and so especially when you're starting a different location. We've been in this spot, but now we have a Red Wing shoe side and a Chet shoe side.
Right.
So you get to try all different kinds of shoes.
Yeah, get a great fitting pair of shoes, comfortable, and like you said, the price point of those comes out to be what, 50 to 75 cents a day if you really
on most of our customers. It's sometimes a lot cheaper than that, because sometimes they get several years on shoes. They probably shouldn't, but they do. Because they come from the old school. It says if it doesn't have a hole in it, it's not wore out. But it's just how your feet feel is when it should tell you it's time to replace something, not how old they are.
Well, I think we probably all have a favorite pair of shoes or something we kind of go to all the time. We have some shoes that we like, but they just don't feel quite right, so maybe we don't wear them as often because then our feet hurt, which again goes back to the customer service you're going to get at Chet Shoes.
Right, and then a lot of times the shoe was great the first few years you wore it, but then now it doesn't feel good, so you don't think the shoe's any good anymore, but really it's that the shoe is worn out.
Right.
And it's not just the number of years you have them, it's the number of miles. Hardly anybody works a 40-hour week anymore.
Yeah.
They're working 60, 70, 80 hours. And, so you have to take that into consideration.
So there really isn't a time frame for when you need a new pair of shoes. It's really how they feel and how they look.
Exactly.
Because you may think they look okay, but if you're not feeling it or your feet are aching, it's probably time for a new pair.
That's correct. It's how they feel.
Yeah. Well, that's great. And you're going to get great customer service at Chet Shoes. Again, you've got locations all over the Twin Cities. You can go to chetshoes.com to find them. I encourage them to come see you, Dave, in Columbia Heights.
Thank you so much.
It's a great location. 763-253-1079 if they have questions. A lot of great stuff. Any new exciting things kind of coming up on the horizon here?
Well, we have hiking boots. We have hunting boots.
Yeah, hunting season will be on us before we know it.
And we have walking shoes. All kinds of stuff like that. That's not just a work shoe, but you can get after work shoes. And that helps a lot, too, if you feel good after work. But some people wear the same pair of shoes after work, during work.
Yeah.
And so they wear out even faster that way. So you want to get a variety of shoes going your way.
Yeah. Well, I think I know some guys that have 2 or 3 shoes. That's all they have. and other people
Right.
have shoes for every day of the month.
We're like the Imelda Marcos type of people that want a lot of shoes.
You can't have too many shoes.
No.
But having the right shoe, you want to have the right boot for hunting. You want to have the right boot for working. If you're a hiker or a walker, whether it's just around the lakes or something on the trails, having the right shoe or boot makes a difference.
Yep, and the walking shoes, we do carry the Keen brand. They're popular for not only walking but for canoeing, hiking.
Places you might get your feet wet too.
Right. They're waterproof, and so we have waterproof. We also have shoes that have ventilation for people that don't like anything that's kind of too hot on their feet. They give you the same support as a regular shoe, but they're ventilated.
Yeah, see, that
so
sounds
you have
good to
that
me.
too.
I'm not I don't like sandals and things like that. Never been that kind of guy, but having a nice ventilated shoe would be a great
and
option.
Those are very popular.
Yeah.
And New Balance, we've got some walking shoes by those guys, and they make quite a variety of shoes, men's and women's.
Yep.
And we just got some new walking shoes in for ladies.
Wow.
That are really light and comfortable. And all our shoes, like the Timberland brand I mentioned before, extremely light. Instead of steel toe, sometimes they use titanium, which is a lighter metal, that type of thing.
Wow, so great selection. You're going to get great service. Again, visit chetshoes.com on the website, or you can give Dave and the team there at the Columbia Heights location, 763-253-1079. Dave, it's been a pleasure having you here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Again, chetshoes.com. Stay tuned. We're live here at the Minnesota State Fair next. Kind of continue this discussion, but also a special campaign that Chet Shoes is involved with called See Tracks, Think Trains. That's all coming up here from the Great Minnesota Get-Together. Stay tuned. AM980 The Mission, the Twin Cities Christian Voice. Thank you for being with us as we continue the live broadcasts of The Mission live here at the Minnesota State Fair, the corner of Underwood and Murphy, north end of the fairground stop. But now we've got so much going on up here. You can win that trip to Disney World courtesy of Travel Leaders Apple Valley. We've got the free furnace giveaway from Blue Ox Heating and Air. But more importantly right now, we're going to help save a life, or hopefully save a lot of lives, because with me is Sheryl Cummings. She is with Operation Lifesaver. You are the Minnesota State Coordinator. Well, welcome, Sheryl.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, good. Glad to have you here. So let's, in our interview with Chet Shoes, now we've been, they really have kind of taken on working with you at Operation Lifesaver and helping raise awareness for really railroad crossings and how people and cars and trains don't really mix. So what is Operation Lifesaver?
Operation Lifesaver is an international educational program. Began in 1972 as a 6-week educational campaign in the state of Idaho, and was so well received that it spread across the country and is now operating in at least 5 countries.
Wow.
Including Canada and Mexico. More than 40 years later.
So from a couple-week program to 40 years later.
Yep, absolutely. Here in the U.S., we have a national office that produces all of our educational materials, and then they authorize us to utilize those materials along with our nationwide network of dedicated, trained volunteers to try to get that awareness out and provide free education to the public about how to make safer decisions around tracks and trains.
And it sometimes it seems fairly logical, but most of us cross railroad tracks every day and probably don't even realize it. Unless the arm comes down or the lights go. And I think maybe some of us might think it's more of a rural issue than an issue in the city, because in the city we tend to have more gates at the crossings. But is that necessarily true?
It's actually not necessarily true. It varies by state and by parts of states. But nationally, the statistics show that well over half of the collisions that occur at crossings between vehicles and trains are actually occurring at crossings already equipped with active warning devices like gates and lights.
So people are bypassing those.
It's possible. It's a variety of issues.
So, is that part of the problem? Is people can't they misjudge. They think, oh, I don't want to get stuck behind the train, so they're going to try to get across or go around and not realize how fast the train is going and things like that?
Absolutely. That's one of the top 5 things that we want people to walk away from any interaction they have with us knowing, and that is that trains are quieter than you think. They can be moving much faster than they appear, and they may take a mile or more to come to a complete stop if you're talking about a fully loaded freight train.
So you have a fully loaded train, it can take a mile to stop. So if they see you, it's pretty much, there's no way they're going to stop in time.
In most cases, if they're going, any number of speeds, but, if they're going, for example, 55 miles an hour, and they slam on that brake, they put in the emergency brake,
right?
They're going to take about a mile or more to come to a complete stop when you're talking about a 6,000-ton freight train.
Wow. So helping create that awareness for people, what are some of the safety takeaways? What should people be paying attention to when they're coming up to a railroad crossing, whether they're in a vehicle or maybe we can get to pedestrians later because that's still an issue too?
Yes, pedestrian traffic is definitely an issue. There are actually more people who lose their lives or severely injured every year as a result of trespassing on railroad tracks than as a result of being in a collision with a vehicle and a train.
Is that just people out for walks? They're not paying attention. They don't hear the train coming.
It's a variety of things, yes. It includes walking, biking, hiking, fishing, our ATVs, snowmobiles, and any number of things. And with the risk, or with the temptation, I should say, of constant electronic distractions, the chances get much, much higher that something can happen.
So if people are interested in getting more information about it, the best thing to do is go to your website?
Yep. As far as the Minnesota program and what we're doing, the best thing to do is going to be to follow us on social media, either on Facebook, we're at Minnesota Operation Lifesaver, or on Twitter at Minnesota OL. As far as information on rail safety for any number of audiences, from pedestrians to drivers, passengers, the media, CDL and bus drivers, law enforcement, photographers, and so many more, you're going to want to visit oli.org.
Fantastic. So if people want to get that information, do you do seminars and training and things too for people as well, whether it's schools or organizations?
Yep, we have volunteers, well over 100 all across the state of Minnesota and hundreds all across the country. Their main mission is to provide this education completely free of charge. We have programs that are designed to speak to young children, to new drivers, to adult drivers. Mm-hmm. We have programs that are designed specifically for CDL drivers and school bus drivers. We even have programs that are designed specifically for law enforcement and first responders on how to keep themselves safe when they have to respond to incidents on railroad tracks.
Wow, that's interesting. Again, we're talking with Sheryl Cummings. She is the Minnesota State Coordinator with Operation Lifesaver. You can get information from to at oli.org. And really talking about rail safety and being careful around railroad tracks. I think back, we used to walk along railroad tracks. A lot have seen them, crossed railroad tracks many, many times. I don't think I've ever had a real close encounter with a train where I've never really been tempted to beat a train across the track, but I can see why people would do that. When it comes to that, what are some of the tips that you tell people? Is it like crossing the street? Do you look both ways? Do you pay attention? What are some of the things that you when you're trying to help educate people to be aware of where they are around a railroad track?
Yeah, there's lots of things we have the opportunity to talk to people about. That's one of the reasons why we are really excited to be at the state fair, because we get to talk to so many people in 12 days.
Yep.
About these things. So many people that have grown up, basically getting lucky, being near railroad tracks, and and on the other hand, growing up and understanding that they are dangerous and that they are large and that we do need to give them respect, whereas a lot of people don't necessarily live in areas where they see tracks all the time and don't realize the respect that they need.
Right.
But there's so many things that people don't realize that they don't know.
Yeah.
What we talk to people about is that a typical locomotive is going to be at least 3 feet wider than the tracks on both sides. And that's just a locomotive. That doesn't include oversized or shifted loads or loose chains or hoses or straps that could be hanging off of trains as they pass by. So the reality is that even if you're not on the tracks, you could very well still be in harm's way.
I knew somebody that happened to. They were near a railroad track. They did something, and they peeked out to look. I don't remember what it was, but got hit in the face by a train. It wasn't moving that fast, but it did put them in the hospital, which was a pretty scary thing. That was a number of years ago. But valid point, because I think I probably would have just assumed, yeah, it may be a little wider, but you forget how big those trains actually are. Where's your booth located here at the fair?
Our booth is actually in the education building. You can stop by and visit us. We're in the far right corner once you walk in the building. We are there partnering with our friends at the Minnesota Transportation Museum. And one of the big reasons we're doing that is because they have brought their locomotive simulator unit. And with that unit, what you can actually do is put yourself in the driver's seat, and you can see the view as an engineer from that 6,000-ton freight train. And you can see how excruciatingly long it takes that freight train, if you get it up to speed, to stop that train when an emergency comes up on the simulation.
That's a pretty neat deal. I've always thought about that. You know, how big, what's it like up in the locomotive of those trains? It's got to be, I mean, they're up there pretty high. You've got a pretty good view.
They are, yep.
And especially when you're moving. It's got to be fun, but also a little scary if you see somebody on the tracks or see somebody trying to cross the tracks, knowing that you're not going to be able to stop in time.
Absolutely. Just one more reason why, you know, we have a huge variety of partners and supporters, various industries, the transportation industry, and not the least of which the railroad industry. And their volunteers are some of our biggest supporters and best advocates, because whether indirectly or directly, they've seen the effects of what can happen in a tragedy like this.
Well, we've just got about a minute or two left here. Anything else that we really need to let people know about?
Sure. Well, the top 5 things that we want people to walk away from any interaction with us knowing is, number 1, the only safe and legal place to cross railroad tracks is at a public crossing. Number 2, to always look both ways and listen before crossing tracks, because a train can come on any track at any time.
Right.
Number 3, anywhere other than a public crossing, just stay off and stay away from those tracks. Number 4, using electronic devices and smartphones near train tracks can prove deadly, whether you're on foot or driving. Remember, trains are quieter than you think.
Right.
And they can be moving much faster than they appear. And they can run at any track at any time, even those that may have a quote-unquote schedule.
Interesting.
And number 5 is that tracks, trestles, rail yards, and equipment are private property. And if you're on those locations walking, hunting, fishing, or riding your snowmobile, you're trespassing. And you could be caught or fined or lose your life.
Wow. Well, Sheryl, thank you so much for joining us here at the Minnesota State Fair. OLI.org for more info.
Thank you.